So just raise of hands. I'm trying to see if I can see it. Everyone is familiar with Lord Jagannath, yes? Yes. Jai. So we around the world we have just celebrated this Jagannath Rath Yatra, which for any Gaudiya Vaishnava, this is one of the most ecstatic, exciting days of the whole year, where we get to sing and dance, and we're able to be fully engage our senses, our bodies, our voices in the service of Lord Jagannath. So I'm going to give whatever I can say. I'll give a small little class on the pastime of the appearance of Lord Jagannath. Before I start, I will just give pranams to my Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada, so I may speak something that is fellowshipable to all the devotees present here today. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Jaya Padaka Samiti Namane Namachari Padaya Nityat Nai Gorakatha Vidya Nagra Dharmatharane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Sarvata Devi Gauravani Pacharane Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashuta Dikshita. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, this pastime of Lord Jagannath begins first with one of Lord Jagannath's very, 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 very dear devotees, King Indradyumna Maharaj. Everyone familiar? He was a great king in the Satya Yuga, and during this time, he was so enamored with his Lord. He was a great, great devotee of Lord Vishnu, and he was very, very, very eager to be able to have darshan of Lord Jagannath. Yes. So, as any great bhakta, we relish the pastimes of the Lord. And one day, one devotee came and he started telling him the glories of this special form of the Lord named Nila Madhava. Now, the king became completely obsessed with wanting to hear more about this Nila Madhava, that he sent so many of his brahmanas, so many of his priests to all directions around the kingdom to bring what news, what pastimes. See, nowadays it is so simple for us, right? We want to know anything. We want Bhagavad Gita, we want Srimad Bhagavatam. We pull up our phones, we have everything here, Veda base. Yes, Prabhupada Vani, we have so many things so readily available to us. Back in the day, it was not so easily accessible, these pastimes, all these glories. We're so fortunate nowadays. We really should relish to the extreme the ability to at once be able to relish the Lord's pastimes in so many different capacities. Srila Prabhupada gave his life to write all his beautiful literature, all his books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita as it is, so many small books too that we can relish. And each one of them, Srila Prabhupada gave so much unique sweetness, so much nectar. So I really advise that any devotees, if there's anything you have not read, please take advantage of this opportunity. Even though we're in Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and deceits, so many dysfunctional things, so many miseries, we have the accessibility to access Srimad Bhagavatam at any point in our life. As long as we have computer, phone like this, it is so easy to access. Krishna has made it so simple in this age. And in the time of King Indradyumna, it was not so simple. So what he did was he sent his Brahmins in all directions. And all of them came back empty-handed. They were all looking for Nila Madhava, Nila Madhava, Nila Madhava. No one could find anything except one priest, one of his Brahmins, by the name of Vidyapati. And Vidyapati, he wandered so many places in so many districts, and he finally came to a district where it was a non-Aryan, It was the Sabara people who lived there. And he was looking for this form of Vishnu that his king had sent him to, Nilamadava. And there he took shelter of one household. And when he got there, the father of the household was actually not present. It was only his young daughter was there. And his daughter told him to, my father will come back. You stay here. And he was just waiting. And then finally, the father came back, and he told his daughter Lalita, and he ordered her, you take care of this man nicely. So she was serving this Prabhu. And eventually, actually, after spending some time, this Brahmin became very happy with Vidyapati, and he asked her, please marry my daughter. So this arrangement was done, and he was actually married Lalita. And in doing this, he described, his mission of wanting to find Nilamadava. And Lalita, his wife at this point, told him the secret that his father was actually worshiping Nilamadava in a very secluded place, in a secret place. And after Lalita had begged for much, much time, he begged to her husband could take darshan of Nilamadava. Finally, the father gave the permission, but he tied a blindfold around Vidyapati. So, but the wife Lalita was very smart, actually. She put mustard seeds in his cloth. So as he was walking blindfolded, the mustard seeds would be falling. And as those mustard seeds would be falling, he would be able to find his way back, because they would fall and they would sprout, and then he would see the small sproutings of mustard seed, and he would be able to follow them. So in this way, Vidyapati was brought to the darshan of Nilamadava. And once he saw this Nilamadava, whose form is so, so, so beautiful, he broke down in ecstasy. His joy knew no bounds, and he was dancing and dancing and dancing. Now, he was ordered not to ever tell anyone, but he was just so wrapped in this love, so that the Brahmin, he actually went off to get some flowers and fruits, and also roots to be able to worship his Lord. And then, in this time, Vidyapati, he actually saw a crow was sleeping up on a branch, and this crow, all of a sudden, was sleeping, and he fell down into the lake. And when he fell into the lake, he drowned. But immediately after, he saw 4-armed form of this crow come up and became liberated. Just by the darshan of this Nilamadava, he became liberated. So Vidyapati immediately jumped up on the branch and was ready to dive into the lake himself, because he's like, Hare Krishna, this is liberation. I'm boss, He wanted to take this special opportunity. But right before he did this, he heard a voice saying, it is not your time. You are here on a mission. So you must go tell King Indradyumna that you have found Nilamadava. So, Hare Krishna, what can you do? We would all like to just jump into that river, into that lake, but it was not his time. So he returned to his king, King Indradyumna, and he told him what he had found. So immediately King Indradyumna got his men, and he sent out to get Nilamadava. Now, at first, the Shabda people, they were very hesitant. They did not want to let go of their Nilamadava. So he's tried to hide this Nilamadava, and they followed all the plants, and they followed where the plants were going to trace back the path to find Nilamadava. However, though, when they reached that spot, Nilamadava was nowhere to be found. It was no longer there. So not being able to see this beautiful form of the Lord that King Indradyumna so long been hankering for, they actually arrested the Sabra. His name actually was Vishwashu. And suddenly a voice came from the sky saying, release this man, you know. On top of this Nila hill, you should construct a temple. And there, as Dharu Brahman, or as the absolute truth will manifest in a wood form as a giant log, you will see me, but you will not get to see me as this Nila Madhava. So with this instruction, the king let the Shabda go. And he took this instruction very seriously and immediately began to begin this temple. And King Indradyumna made all the arrangements to bring special stones from a sacred place up on top of this Nilakandara hill in this very holy Shish Chaitra or Puri. And this Puri Chaitra, you know, it is shaped like a conch. I don't know if you've ever seen. It's shaped like a conch. And on the navel of that conch, this is where King Indradyumna established a town by the name of Ram Krishna Pura. And there he constructed the temple. And the temple was so huge, it extended 60 cubits beneath the ground and 120 cubits above the ground. And there he placed a giant pinnacle and a dome on top. And on top of that, he put the Sudarshan Chakra. And this temple was very, very, very beautifully decorated, very beautifully ornated with gold and so many jewels. And King Indradyumna then, he didn't want just anyone to come and consecrate the temple, but he wanted Lord Brahma himself. So anyone who's familiar with pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam, when you go up to Brahmaloka, it is not a simple trip, right? It is not just like going to mayor's office or going like to DMV. We think DMV takes a long time. That is nothing compared to going to Brahmalok. So he went up to Brahmalok, but it took many time, so much time that 2 kings had passed, right? So after he was able to get darshan of Lord Brahma and he came back down, he saw that at that time, actually, the whole temple became completely covered with sand. It became completely covered. And there was another king who came and he excavated and he discovered this temple. And he thinking that, oh, I found this temple is now mine, right? This king's name was Galamadava. So thinking he had uncovered this great temple, King Indradyumna, when he had come back from Brahmalok, it took some time to actually have Galamadava reveal the truth that, yes, actually, I have just revealed this. I did not build this temple. It was this King Indradyumna. And it was actually the help of an ancient crow that was there when Indradyumna actually built that temple, that he said, yes, it is actually King Indradyumna. Actually, this lake, which it is right next to, is called Indradyumna Sarovara. So Indradyumna then prayed to Lord Brahma to please, you consecrate this temple, you bless this temple. And it's actually very wonderful that actually where that temple stands today, that is actually what is known, that is where the actual yajna took place to consecrate this temple that Lord Brahma himself conducted. So where that temple is actually now standing, that was the yajna pit. And for those who have been to Jagannath Puri, who have been there, there's actually a Nrsimhadev deity. And Lord Brahma himself actually consecrated, he established this Nrsimhadev deity there. So if you go there ever, you know, you can go and ask, where is this Nrsimhadev deity? And you can see that actually this is Lord Brahma himself established that Nrsimhadev deity. After he did this, then he also placed a flag on top of the Jagannath Puri temple. And he gave the blessings that anyone who sees this flag from a distance and bows down, offering his prostrate obeisances, shall easily become liberated. And we know also very famously the stories of the pastime of Srila Haridas Thakur, that he, because he was Muslim born, was not actually allowed to go in and see Jagannath. You know, and even though he was so saintly, you know, Lord Chaitanya himself, like, why don't you go inside? He says, just seeing Sudarshan Chakra is no different from my Lord. Just see that humility, right? Actually, so many people tell me, I'm actually from Mexico, I'm not Indian, but so many people tell me, actually, I could probably sneak into Jagannath Puri. But I say if just seeing the Sudarshan chakra was good enough for Haridas Thakur, that is good enough for me. So in his lineage, I will honor that. So yes, after this, the Lord, King Indradyumna, but after some time, actually, after the temple was constructed and Nrsingadev was there, but he was still the king was very distraught that he had not been able to see this form of Nila Madhava, this form that he had so much been hankering. So he actually became very depressed and decided that, you know what, if I cannot see Lila Madhava, I will give up my life. So he sat down kusha grass, which is very sacred, and he had prepared to lay down and fast till death. And in this, actually, the Lord came to him, Lord Jagannath came to him and spoke to him in a dream. He said, "My dear king, do not be anxious. I shall come floating in the sea in my wooden form as Daru Brahman. In this place called Bankumkan, and with the company of his soldiers, he went and he waited by the sea, and he was waiting and waiting to see his Lord. And then finally, I saw a big log coming, right? And on this had 4 auspicious markings on this huge piece of wood. It was marked with the conch shell, the disc, the club, and the lotus, the markings of Lord Vishnu. He became ecstatic. Hari, Hari, Bo, my Lord has come, he has come. But when he tried to get that log, this is Daru Brahman, he could not carry it. With all his men, all his elephants, it would not budge. Not a little blade of grass would it budge. So that night, he became very sad, and going to sleep, the Lord again came to him and said, "Bring my previous servant, Vishwashu, the Shabda, the original caretaker of Nila Madhava, and bring him here and place a golden chariot in front of this Daru Brahman, in front of this wooden form." So the king began to bring everything according to what the instructions of his dream. So he sent out for the Sabara, the Vishwashu, and on one side he put him, and on the other side he put his Brahmin who went and found Nila Madhava, Vidyapati, and placing the golden chariot right before the Daru Brahman, then he started kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and chanting these holy names of the Lord. Then the king caught hold of Daru Brahman and prayed for the Lord to mount the chariot. He prayed, "Please, please mount this chariot. Please let us worship you." This Daru Brahman was then easily placed on the chariot and taken to its designated place. There, Lord Brahma began a sacrifice in establishing the deity of Lord Nrsingadev, so it was fully consecrated. And actually, if you go to the western side, at the Mukti Mandap of the temple compound, that there is actually where the original Nrsingadev deity is. So, to begin carving this form of Jagannath from the Daru Brahman, from this form of the wood, King Indradyumna called all his best sculptors, the best sculptors of the land, the most expert. Yet, however, anytime one sculptor would come, he would come to chisel, and his chisel would smash into 1,000,000 pieces, dust. Yet another one would come, same thing. Nothing could chisel this wood, nothing. And finally, the Lord himself appeared in the disguise of an old artist and introduced himself as Ananta Maharan. And there's some different versions of this. And one version actually in the Narad Puran, it is mentioned that actually it was Vishwakarma, the architect of the demigods. He had come under the auspice of Lord Vishnu. to construct this form under his instruction of Lord Vishnu. Either way, this Ananta Maharan came and he said, I will sculpt this deity form, but I will only do so if you leave me alone for 21 days. I alone will be in there, the temple, and I alone will construct it for 21 days. Do not bother me with anything, no servants, just me. So the king agreed, but after a few days, after 14 days had passed, he no longer heard any tools from the artist. And this put the king in great anxiety. Am I being cheated? Did this man just come and take things? Or is this actually being done? So unable to hear, and even though all his ministers again told him, no, don't you go into don't go, remember what you promised, and you cannot go back on your promise. This is for the Lord, this is a very sacred thing. Please do not go back on your promise. Yet, because his queen told him, he was like, okay, I will listen to my queen. And he rushed in, he himself opened the doors, and there was nothing. And Sananta Maharan was nowhere to be found. And he saw the form of Jagannath, as we see him today, with his arms out and no legs, smiling. And seeing this, he was actually very jubilant, but also he became very, very much ashamed that he was not able to follow this instruction. So again, that night, being very sad for King Indradyumna, such a big heart for the Lord, he felt like he had offended so much. He decided he was going to give up his life once more. But in that night, in the middle of the night, Lord Jagannath came to him actually. And he said that this was intended. This is how I want to manifest myself. And even though the king thought that he was a great offender, this actually, his anxiety to see the Lord is what allowed the Lord to manifest in this way. As mentioned,
Hare Krishna Prabhu, your audio is lagging. A bit unclear. We can't hear you. Still, it's unclear.
Hare Krishna?
Yes, now it's clear.
Okay, good. So, in the Shweta Upanishad 3:19, it is actually said that without legs and hands, he moves and accepts. Without eyes, he sees. And without ears, he hears. He knows all that is noble, but no one knows him. They call him that original person. See, the Mayavadis, people who foolishly try to understand the Vedas without knowing, they think that this actually means that the Lord is impersonal. But actually, this is glorifying Lord Jagannath. That even though he does not have arms, he accepts. Lord Jagannath accepts so much. He accepts 56 different food offerings every day. He can accept so much with no hands. And even though he doesn't have any legs, all around the world, because of these Rath Yatra carts, he goes and he sees the whole world. He sees all his subjects. In this way, he moves without feet. This is actually the glorification of Lord Jagannath. That even though he has no arms, he accepts it. Even though he has no legs, he still moves around the whole planet. So this is one of the beautiful ways that the Lord actually manifests himself for his devotees. And even though in India, if you're not, you're not Deshi, if you're not born in Bharat, then you're not actually allowed in to see Jagannath temple yet. And this time, this very special time, the Lord comes out himself, and anyone can see. Anyone from, a Westerner, a Mexican, a dog eater, anyone can have darshan of the Lord. And no, it doesn't matter whatever caste or creed, everyone is dancing in the streets worshiping Lord Jagannath. Just recently, we had our Rath Yatra here in New Orleans, and it was so beautiful. There was times where you saw people handing out prasadam, and the people were dancing, and even I saw a dog stand up on his hind legs and start dancing when he saw someone coming bringing prasad. He became so ecstatic. So this is very, very sweet. That the Lord is so merciful. There's actually a Acyuta Pavana there in Jagannath, where there's this window where you can actually go and see this actually very special form of the Lord Jagannath. So, and this came actually a lot of a blessing for Jagannath, told the king, that actually I will bless the descendants of Vishvashur, the ones who have served me as Nilamadava. They will continue to serve me generation after generation after generation. And to this day, they're known as the Lord's Daitas in these Pandus. And then the descendants of Vidyapati, the ones who were born of his Brahmin wife, will perform the deity worship. And the ones born of his wife Sabari, Lalita, the one who brought Vishapati to see Nilamadava, they'll be his cooks for generations. And still to this day, this tradition is kept. And then King Arjuna said to Lord Jagannath, my Lord, please grant me one other favor. Let the doors to your temple only be closed for a few hours every day. So for 2 to 3 hours, they close the doors of the temple. But actually, some people say that he doesn't rest because at this time, this is when the devas, the demigods, they actually come and take darshan of the Lord. And there's different doors you'll see, some for the humans and some for the devatas up higher. And at this time, then he will rest also for 1 hour approximately. He rests. So the whole universe can come see Lord Jagannath day after day after day after day. And he also asked that may we continue to offer food, may we continue to give you food stuffs for your pleasure. And the Lord accepted this also. And King Arjuna did not want anyone to come and actually conquer this and claim this temple as his own. So he said, may I have no descendants? Please let me have no descendants. And may, this temple be yours and for the whole universe. So this way the Lord is very satisfied, and he said, may it be so. So this is the beautiful pastimes of how Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra were able to manifest here, and we're able to see them, and we're able to worship them in this form, just so full of sweetness. And so at this time, I don't know if anyone has any comments or questions. Anyone wants to give any more nectarian pastimes of Lord Jagannath. There's so many different things. There's so many different pastimes of Lord Jagannath. We could be here till next week and still be chanting the glories of Lord Jagannath.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your discourse. I'm enjoying it, but I have some questions that Jagannath is the younger brother of Krishna, and Subhadra is the sister.
Yeah, Balaram is the older brother. Jagannath is Krishna. Jagannath is Krishna himself.
So Balaram, Krishna, and Jagannath.
Yeah, Balaram, Jagannath, and Subhadra. Subhadra Mai is their little sister.
Okay. Now, when Krishna was in the earth in 5,000 years ago, so when this Jagannath's temple built, and I see there's a connection between. I'm not very knowledgeable about all this. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the Navadvip, but before that, Jagannath Puri was built before that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So is that at the same time of Krishna or later on?
It was actually Satya Yuga.
Oh, Satya Yuga, I see.
Ah.
Oh, I see, okay.
Actually, the dream was in Satya Yuga.
That means at the same time when Krishna was there in Satya Yuga.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So that's why I see all this connection between everybody is going to Puri. Jagannath Puri from Mayapur and from Vrindavan. Okay.
Krishna is no different from Jagannath. Jagannath is a form of manifestation of Jagannath.
I see.
It's a very sweet pastime of why, and also Jagannath has this form that we see with his arms inside and his eyes wide. And there's a specific reason why it's Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, right? Subhadra, it's Krishna's younger sister who married Arjuna. Right? And from the marriage of Arjuna and Subhadra, they had their illustrious son Abhimanyu. And anyone who is or remembers stories from Mahabharata, Abhimanyu was actually slain in the battle of Kurukshetra during the Chakravyuha, right? But it is very significant as to why Subhadra is there in this with their worship together. And it's actually because the queens of Dwarka, they were wanting to know the pastimes of Krishna as a child. Right? So one time actually they had Mother Yashoda there and some of the other Vajrasi women, and hearing this, they wanted to hear the intimate pastimes of Lord Krishna as a child, but they know, oh, you cannot, Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, they cannot hear these pastimes. If they hear these pastimes, they will go mad wanting to run back to Vrindavan. So it's like, we will tell you, but very quietly, very secretly. You must be very secret with this. So they put Subhadramani outside the door. She was the guard, so that when the women are talking the pastimes of Lord Krishna, they won't, Krishna will not hear and become mad and wanting to go back.
So the Jagannath was born without arm. Is it born that way?
This form, this Vigraha, appeared in this way, was manifest in this way. So the reason why he has this form, though, is in this pastime where Subhadra was outside the door, keeping a guard, so the Lord would not come inside and keep these pastimes of Vrindavan. Then she was keeping guard, but immediately Lord Balaram, Lord Krishna, they could understand, oh, someone's speaking about Vrindavan, my pastimes in Vrindavan, I want to go relish this. So they went and they came up to that corridor, and even just being outside the room, Krishna was hearing, and he heard the pastimes back in Vrindavan. He heard the Mother Yashoda, he just heard the name of Radha, and immediately his arms shrunk into himself, his body shrunk into himself, his eyes grew wide in ecstasy, and his mouth grew wide. And Balaram did the same. And Subhadra, seeing this ecstatic form of the Lord, also assumed the same form. So this is actually why we see this form of Lord Jagannath, big smile and big eyes. This is actually the Lord in ecstasy, remembering of his devotees.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your explanation. Thank you.
Great question.
Are there any more questions? No? Okay.
Sarvatra Prabhu, if you have anything to add.
So thank you so much. The way you described, so
I
you are is very nectarian, and you are so knowledgeable. You know the history of how Jagannath appeared in this material world. So Lord Jagannath is unlimited. His pastime is unlimited. So I request all the devotees. So when our desire should be go Jagannath Puri and other pilgrimages, like India is protecting by 4 dhams. East is Jagannath, and west is Dwarika, and north is Rameshwaram, and south is Badrika, Jamunatri, Gayatri, like the 4 dhams. It is very, very historical and Brahmanic, and it is described in our Shastra. So Jagannath Puri, even Pandavas visited Jagannath Puri. Lord Krishna with Balaram visited Jagannath Puri. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his half of his life, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibits his pastimes 48 years, but 18 years, more than 18 years he was in Jagannath Puri, because Jagannath and Lord Krishna And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu no other than Lord Vishnu, like the same form of Lord Shiv. So therefore Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. So if you go Jagannath Puri, then you will see like same place, all the pilgrimages are there. Like Bimala Prasad's, Bimala Devi's ashram, like who is non-different from Parvati. Parvati Devi, Lakshmi Devi's ashram, and Lord Nishingadev, and Brahma, and Hanumanji, all the intimate associates of Lord Jagannath or Lord Krishna, they all of them actually join when Jagannath actually appeared at the place of Jagannath Puri, or called the Shankho Ketra or Nilachal Dham. And next to Jagannath temple, you'll see the ocean. It's called the Bangop or Bay of Bengal, Bay of this ocean. And so much miracle, even the British, we know so much pastimes about the Jagannath. Even the time of British, actually they wanted to destroy the Jagannath temple, because the Mughal and other, like the Javans, they destroy a lot of Hindus or temples, but they couldn't, because the Jagannath temple is built by Brahma himself. And still the scientists are researching how they built the temple without only a stone, the big gigantic stone, tons of tons weight of stones, they put uplift and they add one after another. That way actually the Jagannath temple is built. And the Jagannath temple is height is, if you want to research a little bit, 275 is the height, and two wall of the Jagannath temple. One is interior wall and one is exterior wall. Interior wall is called the Megnath Prachir or Megnath fence, is 6.5 feet wide and 22 feet height. And interior is Kurma Prachir, is 5 feet wide and 19 feet height. And in Raja, actually, King, so much we can describe, but one significant thing is the age of Kali, because people always like to eat prasadam. Whatever performance we do, like the Harinam Jaggo or any other austerities, but we like to eat. Like when we arrange any festival, you will see 50% people roaming around, but the time of prasadam, everybody comes to eat prasadam. That is why actually Jagannath, our Lord Jagannath is called the eating God. Because Indradharma has 3 boons. One is his dynasty will be destroyed. No one will claim the Jagannath temple. Because in India, you may know, if you build something, the next generation would claim, claim, oh, this is my temple. Therefore, King Indradharma was so pious, so dedicated to the Lord, he does not want to keep his generation to be claimed, next, like when Indradharma will be not present. And second boon was, all the time he will eat. So therefore, 24 hours, 2 hours temple will be closed, and 22 hours actually the offering is going on. This is the second boon, and third boon was, what is the third boon? He will come out once in a year and he will give mercy. Even the Javono, well, even the most like the sinful person. So therefore, Jagannath is Jagaternath is very, very merciful. He comes out on the road and he wants somebody pull the rope of the cart, then he will get delivered. And if you go Jagannath Puri, you will get prasadam. Any time you go, you will get prasadam. And that tradition is going on millions of years, 1.5 million the world. of the temple. Temple age is 1.5 million, but sometimes the structure goes down. But next king actually built the temple. So therefore, the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we see the King Pratap Rudra was a king of Jagannath Puri. The Jagannath Puri and part of the Bengal and Odisha and part of also UP area and part of the what is the name? Like the 3 states still belongs to that this king. So he ruled this area, and any king before Jagannath Rathayatra start, any kings actually they come before Jagannath and they sweep with that golden broom. This tradition still is going on, and it is very, very historical and very, very true story. So to get mercy of Jagannath once in our life, we should visit and get prasadam at least, because Jagannath always eating prasadam because he can give prasadam to the people of that is holy, because without eating we cannot survive. Therefore, we are so fortunate. So we are living the age of holy. We don't have so much pious activities, but at least once in our life we can go Jagannath Puri and get prasadam.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to visit Jagannath Puri many years ago and have the prasadam. Yeah. And also I visited Rameshwaram.
Almost miracle also, like that since ocean is close to Jagannath temple, the ocean sound disturbing sometimes to worship Jagannath. Therefore, actually, Hanuman is being sent by Jagannath. Okay, you stop the sound, because Hanuman always serving Ramchandra, and Hanuman knows there is a Ramchandra, and Jagannath is not different from his Prabhu, his Lord. Therefore, Hanuman went to stop the sound of ocean. Therefore, it's called the Kanpata Hanuman. Still, if you go there, you will not hear any sound of the ocean. Always, so much sound. If you go, because the next 1 kilometer away from the ocean, and if you go, then you will see a lot of sound. But when you come to the temple, you will not see any sound, not hear any sound, because Hanuman stopped the sound. And still, the Hanuman temple is there.
Nice.
Who chanted 3,300,000 name, his samadhi also there. Sometimes some place break, the ocean actually take away, but still this Haridas Thakur's samadhi is still there.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So we are requesting, so we read Jagannath first times. A lot of history, lot of mercy. For joining us, and I am requesting Prabhu. Actually, last year he visited Batandos. Again, you can bring your guru, also and perform Harinam Batandos, and you can deliver us. We like to invite you.
Yes, we'd be honored to come out. I've told everyone of the glories of your guys' prasadam. I've come a few times in the past, and your prasadam was first class. So.
Next 2 months, you can't come because my mom's not here.
Oh, Krishna.
I like to have you together, all together, something. Yeah.
So where is Prabhu located now?
In New Orleans, West Bank.
Oh, just right here. I thought he was somewhere else. Okay.
One center over there, that preaching
Yes,
in West Bank area.
yes. Good.
In a very short time, actually, so many people are joining, and they are taking advantage to accept Krishna consciousness. And by the mercy of Prabhupada, we are carrying the legacy of Goddess. So,
Yes, we would be very honored to have you all come at some point in time and come to our new preaching center, you can come and bless us here.